Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 5. I'm so excited to be diving into the topic of stewardship, but from a different angle. So, as we've been talking over the last several days, stewardship is something that has been very heavy on my mind, and there's a lot that we get to steward. And so, I just feel like extremely compelled to be able to share this information with other people because typically, when we think of the word stewardship, we're thinking finances, but there's so much more that we get to steward. Now, type more in the comments if you are looking for more. If you're looking for more out of a relationship, out of your finances, out of your, discovering your purpose. I mean, most of us as human beings want more. And for those that are brave, type in like what you want more of. I would love to be able to just have this interaction with you while we're live here this morning because I feel like it's important. I feel like it's important when we get to really just express like, what are we looking for? What are we going towards? Because when we put it out there, now it's like it becomes a real thing rather than just like swirling around in our heads. Now, speaking of things swirling around in our heads, like all of these different aspects of stewardship that I'll be going over the entire 30 days that we are live here. And there will be other things, I promise. But this is something that's been swirling around in my head. And what's crazy is the more I talk about it, the more people are like, oh my gosh, me too. This has been highlighted to me. I've been going through something similar, so on and so forth. And so it's so cool when we're able to share something and you're like, maybe I'm the only one here. Nobody else can resonate. But I bet you more people than you realize can resonate. They may not always vocalize it, but most people usually will have others being like, yeah, me too. I totally get you. So, anyways, as we're diving into the next topic, you can see it in the caption. We're going to be talking about stewarding our time. Have you ever thought about how you steward your time? Where does your time go? How intentional is your time? So, a couple of things that I want to be going over today, and I love talking about this when it comes to time. Being a great time manager, being effective with your time, being intentional with your time, even understanding, and I'm very excited to go in on this today. I've had a lot of people ask about this over the years, finding your most productive hours and really being able to utilize your time to maximize your efforts and what it is that you need to be able to get done throughout the day, in your job, in your business, in your purpose, you name it, right? So stewarding time. First of all, I want to start with the time audit. Type audit in the comments if you've ever done one of these, where you've really sat down. You maybe have mentally thought about it, or maybe you've actually written it down. Definitely encourage you to write it down because once it's down on paper, again, it becomes more real. It's not swirling around in your mind. Have you ever audited what you do throughout the day? When you wake up, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, have you ever audited where that time goes? Now, one thing you may have audited, maybe it won't be your time, but it could be the food that you eat, right? Like if you hire a trainer, a lot of trainers are like, okay, like take pictures or tell me like what you eat throughout the day and being able to truly see what it is that you're eating. Same with your time. Where is your time going? Where is your time going? What are you getting sucked into? What do you not have boundaries around? So stewarding your time, first and foremost, I'm a firm believer of this. And for any of you that have been following me for a number of years, you've known that I get up very early in the morning, because over the years, I've always been like a morning person, but I used to wake up like around like 6. And then I went right into the gym, woke up, went right into the gym. And over the years, I'm like, okay, Lord, I'll spend some time with you when I get a chance, when I get a chance, when I get a chance. Guess what? I never made time for that. Until I was like, I'm actually getting sick of me saying this and I'm not even like doing something about it. So what did I do? I started waking up an hour earlier at 5. 5 turned into 4:30, turned into 4, turned into 3, turned into 2 a.m. Yes, you heard that right. I wake up at 2 a.m. during the week, Monday through Thursday. Typically on Fridays, I wake up at like 4. On the weekends, I wake up between like 4 and 5. And you might be like, you're crazy. I know a lot of people aren't morning people, but here's what I found. When I kept saying when I was waking up at 6 that I would be like, okay, I'll get to it, Lord. I will spend time with you. I will pour into my spirit first. I never did it because I was like, who gets up at like 4, 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, one of my favorite motivational speakers is Eric, the hip hop preacher Thomas. Eric Thomas. Love that guy. He is like, I mean, if you want to get going, get going. You know, just know that his voice really sounds like he's yelling at you, but he's coming from a good place. Anyways, he wakes up at 3 a.m. every day. And eventually, when I got to like the 4 a.m. mark, waking up at 4 a.m., I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, well, if Eric can wake up at 3, I can wake up at 3. And then eventually I got to the point where I started waking up at 2. There would be even weeks where I'd wake up even earlier than that. And so I did that because I knew I needed to pour into my mind and my spirit first, then my body, then I would get ready for the rest of my day after that. A lot of us wake up, run to a pot of coffee, rush out the door, and we're automatically like our cortisol levels, our stress levels are up. We're just putting toxic things in our body, sugar, coffee, whatever, and then we're going throughout our day. I give myself a 5-hour window most days to pour into my spirit first, pour into my body, pour into a good breakfast, getting ready, being able to like walk into my day being like, we're good, we're ready. I'm not rushing into my day feeling like, shoot, I don't have enough time. So the discipline had to come in of going to bed early, right? If I had to get up at 2, get up at 4, I have to go to bed early. So I had to audit my time, and it took me a while to adjust. Took me like probably a year or 2 to really adjust and find my schedule. And then I get people ask me all the time, how do you do it? Well, it took time. But weighing out okay, I have to go to bed early and I get to wake up early versus like I can't do certain things during the week, it weighs out plenty. Like I don't need to go to different events during the week. Some I will, and then I'll adjust from there. But I get very protective over my time during the week because I know what I need to do. I know the season that I'm in. We talked about that on day 4, stewarding the season that you're in. So you got to audit. So auditing the morning is huge. Now, auditing what you do throughout the day. Do you catch yourself scrolling? Do you catch yourself doing a whole bunch of activities that really maybe aren't income producing for all my business owners out there? Do you find yourself like getting pulled in a bunch of different directions because you're serving and helping other people? Which for some of us, as maybe parents to young kids or kids that really need our support in this season, that may happen. And I'm also a firm believer in boundaries where you can protect some of that time of mommy or daddy has to do X during this hour, in this hour. And unless somebody's bleeding or dying, I have to be able to be focused for all of us. And even I teach our ambassadors in Kingdom Alliance this, put an incentive on the end of it. When mommy or daddy reaches this goal, we get to go to Disneyland. We get to go to blah. Something where they know where if your time is taken away from them, it's going towards something that's going to benefit them, right? Like put a prize in there for them. Put a prize in there for them. So auditing your time, even at night, what's taking your attention at night? Before you go to sleep, what is your brain filled with? I have come to really get way better sleep, pretty great sleep considering what I used to get by falling asleep to soaking music. My brain can focus on prophetic instrumentals and really be able to just like be at peace rather than, oh my gosh, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do today? What did I just see on social media? Blah, 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 blah. And my attention just being like diverted in so many different areas that don't matter because that's not going to give me rest. I'm like, Lord, I give it to you. And I put this down and I'm going to just fall asleep and get good rest in Jesus' name. So auditing your time throughout the day is huge. And do that for about a week. Like really audit, like what am I doing throughout the week? And then you're going to find those time killers. So the next part of this is avoiding distractions. There will be distractions that pop up. There will be distractions that sometimes are unavoidable, like maybe a family member calls and something is pertinent that takes your attention. Something breaks, just something that just pops out of the blue. But there are a lot of distractions that we could be like, nope, we're not doing that. So let's talk about the scroll hole distraction, right? We can get on social media and it can just take. Or, you know what? Sometimes there's people in our lives that we can't pick up that call right now because that it's going to be a take, unless it's an emergency. Like I got to wait. I got to put that for another time because I need to be focused. I need to steward my time. And that's hard. There are certain people where when I see that name pop up, I'm like, unless it's an emergency, like people know to call me twice if it's an emergency. However, I have to be able to steward the time that I have. Now let's dive into this aspect of stewarding time. How many of you put productive in the comments? How many of you, oh, this is my favorite, know what your most productive hours of the day are? Anybody? Anybody? I literally geek out on this. Honestly, like I want to put like a course together of this and put it inside our community. Like I want to help so many more people find their most productive hours of the day. So what is that for you? I got to start here. Like to find those most productive hours, where is the time throughout your day where you're sharp, you're creative, you get things done effectively, efficiently, your brain is firing on all cylinders, like it is like freight train status, like whew, let's do it. What is that for you? Is it in the morning, middle of the day, at night, when everybody's asleep? When is that time for you? So I'll give you an example. Here's my time. So as we just discussed, I get up super early. I give myself a 4 to 5 hour window before I literally talk to anybody and really start my workday for the most part. My most productive hours of the day truly are between starting my workday. Typically, like my most productive hours are between 8 and 10. I really can get a lot done between 8 and 12. Now, what does that mean? What I do between 8 and 10 or even 8 and 12, typically most people, and I have done my research, most people would barely get that done in a day. Like I am like just full steam ahead during those hours. Between 8 and 10, I'm super sharp. Between 8 and 12, I'm pretty sharp. After 12, it starts to go downhill a little bit, but we're pushing through, right? Now, to be honest, between like 2 and 4, useless. Usually we have a training at 5 that I'm hosting or being a part of at some sort. So I got to like kick back on at 5. But like the middle of the day, I'm like, this is like, okay, unless I really have to do something, I got to like take a break, take a walk, take a break, take a nap, something. Some days I don't get that. But I know that I need to get the most important things on my list done between 8 and 10 by all means necessary. My creative hours, best creative hours are between 8 and 10. Lately, I've had to wake up. Well, I'm not waking up earlier, but I'm adjusting a little bit where I'm really doing it from like 7 to 10 because I have a lot of things that are requiring creativity for me. And I need ultimate focus and like really sharp, like we're in it. So when you discover what your most productive hours of the day are, you will get things done faster, more efficiently compared to if you wait till later and you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this. I'll push it off till tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. So finding these most productive hours of the day are like utmost importance. Utmost importance. If you have any questions on that, feel free to message me, whatever platform that you're on. I'd love to be able to help walk you through that because I want to, because I feel like that is so important. And honestly, the more people I get to help with that, the more I get research and development of how can I put a good course together to help other people, because that has been so key for me. So key for me. And I know like there's certain things I'm like, yeah, when I get to a certain time, I'm not going to want to do that. But because I've taken the time to discover those hours, it has been a game changer. Game changer. Okay, let's talk about fringe hours. Have you ever heard of that phrase before? Fringe hours when it comes to stewarding your time. So fringe hours are like the commutes in the car, 30-minute commute, hour commute, your lunch break, like little breaks that you have. How are you maximizing those breaks? How are you maximizing those breaks? Are you just kind of, mindlessly, whatever, listen to music, whatever, da da da? Or are you habit stacking maybe during those breaks? So during the lunch break, instead of scrolling on social media when you're eating lunch or whatever, because most people do that, are you listening to a podcast? Are you diving in to pour into yourself? Same while driving. Like I live in Southern California where the traffic is wild. And I knew when I moved here, I was like, okay, I definitely don't want to just be irritated on the road because these crazy drivers and this crazy traffic. So what can we do to pour back in? I actually rarely listen to music anymore in the car when I'm by myself. I'll turn on soaking music and use it as my prayer time. Truthfully, if I am stuck in that car, let's find a good way to use it. So those gaps throughout the day, the little gaps, maybe you have like a 10 minutes between a call or 10 minutes between an appointment, or you're waiting in the pickup line to pick up your kids, or you're in the waiting room while your kids are at the dentist, or whatever. You're in the waiting room before your dentist appointment. There are these fringe hours, these little gaps of time where they can have compounding results. Prayer time, like reflection time, let's think things out time. You may not be able to physically write because, especially if you're driving, but like take that time and really utilize it. One of the things that I see so often is people don't spend enough time in self reflection. A couple things, I think people are scared of like what could come up, or they get really hard on themselves. They don't have grace for themselves. Like there's a lot of reasons why people don't want to self reflect. But how can you know how far you've come or what else you may need to work on if you don't self reflect? And we get to take the time to do that. I remember when I used to think, like, I don't have time for journaling. I don't have time for that. Who has time to sit down and write? So, what did I do? I tried writing things out or typing things out, if you will, even voice noting in my phone. But then it just wasn't the same having it in your phone. Easy access to something, yes, but writing something down, pen to paper, there's something about the physical act of writing things down. Notice I've said that a few times. I've said that a few times, like when you're auditing your schedule, write things down. Like even write down what distractions are, a distraction that you're seeing when you're auditing your time. Write down what are your most productive hours of the day. What should you be doing during those hours? How are you going to protect those hours at all costs, if possible, in this season of life? So writing things down is key. And me journaling has been one of the most therapeutic things I have ever done, of really getting out thoughts, prayers, ideas, revelations, you name it. And I have had some of the biggest revelations inside of just journaling to myself of like, oh, wow. And then you get to go back and look at it. And then you'll have that physical journal forever. Forever. Oh, I love it. You are definitely, that is so good, Kim. She's like, I'm listening to this right now while I'm on the treadmill. Exactly. You're on the treadmill. You're just going to be walking, running, whatever you're doing for X amount of time. And you might as well maximize those efforts. I do the same thing. When I'm doing cardio, I'm like, okay, how can I find something that can pour into me, not just listen to a song? Sometimes it's that mood where I have to listen to a song to get through it. But you know what I do? Like, I'm telling you, if you've ever heard of Eric Thomas, get past the part where you feel like he's yelling at you. That's just how he talks. He has some of the most motivational talks, or even just short little snippets on YouTube where it's like really getting my brain to think and kicking me into another gear rather than just me stuck with my own thoughts. Sometimes you sticking with your own thoughts in certain times can be one of the most toxic things. And there are so many different podcasts or lives or people out there that could pull you out of a hard spot. The enemy wants to isolate us. He does. When it comes to stewarding your time, he wants you to feel like, I don't have enough time. When I do have enough time, then I can do this. When I have this, then I can do that. Well, let me ask you this to clap back to that thought. What is God asking you to do? A lot of the times he's going to ask you to take that leap when you're like, I don't have that. Yes, you do. You have everything inside of you to make that leap. Do you trust me? But the enemy is going to get you to look at your circumstances and what you don't have and be like, I don't know if we can do it. Especially when it comes to time. The enemy is like such a time stealer. He truly is. And we steal a lot of our own time. One of the things inside of our Kingdom Alliance community is a lot of people have come in here because they said, hey, you know what? I value my growth. I value my environment, the people that are around me that speak into me. And I want to help others come inside that environment so they can grow. They can step into the leader in their home or publicly or whatever that God has called them to be. Step into being a better speaker. Step into just growing a growth mindset, breaking off generational curses, healing. They have stepped into that space and they said, you know what? It's been so impactful for me. I want to invite others to do it. I want to invite others to do it. They want people to come in and experience that. And they've had to make a choice. How do I steward my time? And a lot of these people are like, I don't have time. My question to you is, do you have 1 hour a day? Do you have 1 hour a day to pour back into yourself? Let me even boil it down more. Do you have 1 hour a week? Maybe you're thinking, yeah, I have 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week, but what's the best way to pour into myself? And if you're looking for resources to maximize and get the most out of 1 hour, I would love to introduce you to some of the things that we have in Kingdom Alliance, because it is one of the most like impactful places to have a really just like jam-packed 1 hour of things you can literally just chew on, munch on throughout the week to dive in deeper. A lot of us get a lot of really good information, I believe, most of the time, but we don't take the time to unpack it. We just wait and we just say, whatever happens in this moment, great, then I'm on to the next. There are so many times where I'm like, I get to unpack that thing because I know there's more there. I know there's more there. Lord, show it to me. Show it to me. So that is something where I really want to speak into you with that because you have to be intentional with your time. You have to be intentional with your time. So back to the part of these ambassadors inviting people in, one of the things that they all say that they want here at Kingdom Alliance, the reason why they refer people in, the reason why they come in is because they want to maximize their efforts, maximize their time, and be able to get more time, or at least have more time, I should say. We all get the same amount of time, but have more time to do the things that they want. So how do you do that? How do you say, you know what? I want to have more time doing the things that I want. You got to be intentional with the time that you're spending on whatever it is that you're doing. You have to audit your time, avoid distractions, maximize those most productive hours, right? In the pockets of time everywhere, how are you maximizing those pieces? Like Kim said here today, she's on the treadmill and she's listening. She's maximizing. I love that, Kim. I love that. And if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay and let me know how you're maximizing while listening to this. Because a lot of people do. But a lot of people want more time back to do the things that they want. So the way that you do that is, how can I grow and how can I find something that can really leverage my time, that could also serve more people, that can earn me an income? And we all get to grow in the process and be in a community where you're going to get poured in, prayed over, and be able to grow and heal in ways you've never been able to before. That is what's available inside Kingdom Alliance. And if that resonates with you, comment Kingdom, and I'd love to be able to connect with you. Everybody's looking for ways to leverage their time, to pour into their growth, not have it break the bank. Being a former coach myself, I charged those coaching prices and it was worth it. A lot of my clients back when I was coaching, they got a lot of amazing results. Most of them getting their investment paid for, which was over 5 figures within the first 2 to 3 months, if not before that, depending on what kind of packages they had. So the breaking the bank of the coaching part, I get that. But affordable personal professional development, a place where you can have amazing community, get poured into, prayed over, break free, have opportunity. To leverage your time so you can have more time to do the things you want is absolutely key. Now, the last piece today that I want to talk about is when it comes to stewarding your time, being able to add in rest. And I could have started with this, but I wanted to end with this. When you go into Genesis and you see how Genesis starts, what God was creating time, taking time to create things by his spoken word, taking the time to speak so things could be created. And at the very end, on the 7th day, he created rest. Not that he needed rest, but he knew that we would. And that's what's called a Sabbath. Do you steward your Sabbath? Do you even have one? Or do you tell yourself, I don't have one because I got to do X, Y, and Z? There's always an X, Y, and Z. But if you don't steward your Sabbath, if you don't steward rest, to really be able to find time to retreat, to rejuvenate, to listen, to be still, that is going to be problematic. I've seen it happen with so many people. They're like, oh, I don't have time to do it. I'm like, well, that isn't going to work out for you in the best way. There's also a level of rest when it comes to stewarding your time of, I'm going to do the work and I'm going to trust you with the results. You meaning the Lord. I'm going to do the work, and God, I'm going to trust you with the results. So many of us try to overextend, overcompensate, go overboard, when really it's okay, I've done the work, and ask him, what's next? What is next? And a lot of what I've been hearing in this season for me is be still. You've done the thing. Be still. Keep going. Be still. I'm doing so much on your behalf, is what the Holy Spirit is sharing with me. That may not be your season. I'm just letting you know what it's been for me. But stewarding rest, also stewarding the time that you get to retreat. The amount of times in the Gospels that it says that Jesus went to retreat to go be with the Father, to go pray, to be in solitude, many of us do not want to be in solitude because a lot of us are fearful of what's going to come up. I used to be that way. And then when I was in solitude enough in my morning quiet time, I started like self-auditing the things I was coming to the Lord about. And I was like, this is obviously something that goes really deep. But I'm kind of getting annoyed of talking about the same things. Lord, I know you have it. And I just have to be like, okay, what's next? What do you want me to do next? But I kept coming to them with the same things. And it was kind of whiny and complaining. And I was like, oh, this is, if I was God, no. Well, good thing I'm not God, right? Good thing. It's a good thing. But even being able to audit in your quiet time, like when you're retreating, what are you even talking about with the Lord? I've had to get really honest with him. And I wasn't always like that because I was like, oh, I would feel bad if I got that honest. But he already knows. But spending the time to retreat and be open to the healing, be open to what is revealed to you is key. But a lot of us don't even take the time to do that. We don't even take the time to do that. But that is a huge part of stewarding your time, to be able to retreat and reflect as well. So stewarding your time, I'm just going to recap it briefly. If you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. If you've been on live, thank you for joining live. Let me know what stood out to you through the auditing of your time, avoiding the distractions, maximizing your most productive hours, your pockets of time, those fringe hours. Like, what are you doing to maximize those pockets of time? And then how are you stewarding your rest and your reflection and retreating, of really being able to pour back into yourself and just have those moments with the Lord? Huge. A lot of us just go, 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 because if we slow down, oh no, what could come up? A lot. But we get to address that. We get to heal in those areas. We get to be aware, because once you're aware, then there's something that can be done about it. But if you keep suppressing, it's only going to come back with vengeance later. And I think we all know what those can look like, or what they have looked like in our life. So I'd love to hear your takeaways. Share them below. Day 5, stewarding your time. I love talking about time. And I love talking about, we could have even gone in on the whole discipline of everything, but it was kind of implied throughout the whole thing, right? You have to be disciplined in auditing your time, disciplined in avoiding distractions, disciplined in maximizing your most productive hours, disciplined in all of it, of like, you know what, maybe most people won't do it, but you, my friend, are not most people. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. It's just a matter of deciding, I am going to do it, and then we'll see what happens next. So thank you for joining me for day 5. Excited to continue these 30 days of lives here across the internet on multiple different platforms. So thank you for watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you may be listening to this. And I'd love to be able to hear your thoughts. So comment below, and we'll see you tomorrow for day 6.